What's up, YouTube fam? How you guys doing today? Happy Tuesday / Wednesday for you guys who are watching the video today. Anyways, so Tyler and I just got finished with practice. Here he is, right there, in the bolt van. But we just got finished with practice for the day. Our spirits are still a little down from the weekend, but it's all right. We went in and busted out a couple motos, and now we're headed back to the house, to the moto shop. If you guys didn't know, that's the name of Tyler and Adam's garage. If you don't believe me, YouTube search the word moto shop, and they for a while did this thing with forgive his BTO Sports or Moto, I think it was motosport.com. They did this show for a while called the Moto Shop, where they did like moto interviews and talked about racing inside the shop. It was hilarious. Like, a lot of the stuff they do is absolutely hilarious. But I'll try to find a link and I'll post it down in the description after this video. Go check it out. But anyways, we're headed over to Tyler's house right now because we need to build up his other Honda, his Crf450 that we raced all of the last 4 or 5 rounds of motocross in. So we raced Washougal, we raced Maryland, Budds Creek, we raced Unadilla, Washington, or Unadilla, New York, and last one was Ironman, Indiana. So in Ironman was a muddy race, and water and mud got in everywhere it shouldn't have, and the engine blew up. It didn't lock up, it just lost compression and ceased to want to ride anymore. So he got towed off the track by a quad tied around his bars, and we need to get that bike up and rolling for practice in the off season till Anaheim 1. So right now we're headed over to his house. We're gonna go see what exactly happened to that thing, and hopefully get that thing fixed really quick, because we need a backup, or not even a backup bike. We need to keep his race bike prime. We need to put some time on something else, that's not going to be the race bike. So let's head over to the moto shop. Be there in a second. All right, so as I said, we'll be there in a second, and here we are. So here is Tyler, jeez. As I said, so this is the bike that we had at Ironman, Unadilla, Budds Creek, Washougal, and she gave up the ghost after a couple mud rides. Still have the sponges behind the brake and everything. I think you guys saw the video where I set this thing up with all the foam and put the screens, in front of the radiator to catch mud. Anyway, this thing toast. Look at that. So, if you've never done this before, we gotta pull the air box away, back. I already have everything all detached up here. We need to take off the radiator hose off the head, pull off the valve cover. It's just kind of disassembly. But I mean, as far as compression goes, it feels, well, you know what? I don't think there's a spark plug in it. I was going to say, it feels like there's nothing there. There's a spark plug? Nope, no spark plug. So that explains that. But it turns over freely. It doesn't feel like anything's binding or holding it back. So, I'm kind of interested to see. I have a feeling, because since day one that he got this bike, it was using coolant. And I'm not exactly sure where it was going, because there's no visible dripping down by the water pump. There's no hoses leaking. And as far as I could tell, there wasn't any coming around any gaskets, but I'm pretty sure it was using it inside. So I'm really curious, as soon as we pull the head off, if we're going to see any rinsing marks. And if there is, I'll show you what rinsing marks look like. But I think it was burning coolant, because, I mean, seriously, guys, we would go through a lot of coolant. I don't even know. Yeah, it's empty right now. And it has all the hoses on. We have not drained this already. I mean, this is just after Unadilla. I'm actually kind of curious how much water it's going to take. Let's figure that out real quick. Up here, we'll see just how much water it takes. Fill this up. Find out how low it goes. And we're just doing this to check how low it is. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Still nothing. I think I was right. It was burning up all its coolant. It got stupid hot. And then it fried inside. If it doesn't fill up after this cup, I'm going to assume that it's completely empty. Alright. But still, yes, so there is water there now, but it took 2 full cups. I'm not sure how many ounces this is, but that's a lot. That's a lot of coolant to be gone in a bike racing motocross. So I still stick to what I said. This thing ran out of coolant, and probably the piston, I'm going to imagine, is fried. The cylinder's fried. Hopefully the head's okay, and hopefully the crank stayed, nice and hydrated with oil. But we'll see when we get in there. I'm going to start tearing into it. Got all the wiring pulled aside. I'm not worried about getting dirt down in here because everything's going to get jet cleaned anyway. So, but now that we got all the electronics unplugged and pulled aside, I'm going to definitely pull this top end right now and see what we find. So, I'll show you guys when we get there. Comes a valve cover. Just took out the 2 bolts there. That thing's crusty. Alright, let's check this out. For as I did the timing chain jump ship. Is it loose? Which it doesn't appear to be. Let's see if we can get this thing at top dead center real quick. And you do that by aligning. There's 2 marks on the cam, and you get them flat with the casting. Let's see. Ugh. And this is basically getting it at top dead center. We just missed it. I don't know. Let's see if I can roll it back. And see how that line, I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a line on the cam. And we need to make it, you can kind of see the back one a little bit. There's a little notch right there. There's one on the front too. But we need to get that, yeah, it looks like it's at top dead center right there. So you get both lines, even with the casting line in the background. And if you want to double check it, you can pull this plug and make sure that the arrow is pointed at the T. And also you can double check by making sure your cams are not loaded on the springs, that the cams are pointed up. I can't get you a good picture of the cams, but feels like actually we might be on a compression stroke. So we're gonna go over one more time. And the cams, no, they're loading the springs there, so let's go over. Oh, I'm not even showing you guys anything. Boy, things sure do sound grindy though right here. So top dead center's around there. See on here, okay, need to go forward a little bit. There we go, you can see that line now on that one. On the back one. There, that's top dead center. Now you can loosen the timing chain, popping off. There's a little nut down there that the camera's not focusing on. There's a, come on. Down here, you take that bolt out, and then there's a little flathead screwdriver, and that'll relax the cam chain, timing chain. Then we can pull off these 2 or 4 10mm on the cam caps. Yeah, let's go. That literally just took a couple seconds. So I already took out these 4 screws. You gotta be careful when lifting up this cam cap because there's 2 C-clips that ride inside the bearings and keeps the bearings from sliding or the cam from even moving. So taking this off, do it very slow. And usually you get the C-clips, like I have one right there. There's this piece right here, you can see it. And the other one is on the cam still, right there. So we're gonna set that up here in the parts. We're gonna get the C-clip before it drops down below. That's what it looks like. Put that in the other cam, in the cam cap, so we don't lose it. And now the cam chain's loose. I don't know if you guys can see that. So now you slide this bearing forward like this. You go, yeah, like that. And then now the cam drops down where you could take off the chain. Yeah, come on. It's hard to do this one-handed. That's what she said. Let me go get the... Come on. Oh, never mind. I shook it off there. And I let the cam chain drop down there, which is fine, because if you need to grab it back, you could just grab a pin magnet. So this is a cam, and then obviously I look for scoring on the lobes, which there is some heat scoring for sure on that one. It got hot. No doubt about that. She got hot. And there's a better shot of those timing marks. Right there, you see one. The other one's right there. So, put that up here. Now I need to pull the engine mounts on both sides, the head mounts. I need to drain all that water we just put in there, and then I'll get back with you when we're pulling off the cylinder head. Everything took me about 30 minutes. So, took out, there's a little 8mm head, 6mm thread bolt that goes down there. Then the 4 motor head studs, or engine head studs. And now it should, I kind of wiggle it a little bit and pop it loose. And then you'll be able to pick it up like that. Boom. Roasty. I don't see anything that indicates, you know, any rinsing from a bad head gasket. I think that's just a, yeah, it was just a hair. I mean, the burn looks correct. I'll know more once I get the cylinder up and out. And it's hard to tell right now if any of the head gasket was leaking water. You'd see a clean spot where it was coming in. It definitely was running hot. I could tell by the color, by the exhaust valves. I don't see anything yet. I'll have to check the head out more. Let's get the cylinder off and look at the piston. Alright, I got the cylinder loosened up here. Let's go ahead and pull this off. Nice and gently. Let's go have a look at the bore, and then we'll look at the piston. Go out the daylight here. Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting. This thing got so hot. We got piston skirt marks. We got a lot of fissures. I don't know if they're cracked through, but this cylinder's toast. It got so hot, guys. I'm gonna wipe this out so we can see a little bit better. Ladies and germs, so I was right, and I'll show you why. I know this thing got too hot. So, first and foremost, the intake side. You can tell the intake side because it has a bigger valve cutouts than the exhaust. So, on the intake side, it actually doesn't look too bad. Not too bad of scoring. It is missing a little bit of the Teflon coating they put on it. But if you look at the very bottom, I'll try to get this. You see how that spot has no coating at all? And actually it's like shiny. I'll show you the exhaust side, which is worse. See, same thing, how up here the coating's good. Kind of, anyway. And you don't see too many, you can still see the CNC marks in the piston that go sideways, the little notches. That's not bad, but at the very bottom, you can see how it's rubbed through, and it's, so what that's from is when the piston goes down inside the cylinder, actually what was happening is this piston was twisting on its way up. It was seizing. It was grabbing the walls of the cylinder and going, yeah, and it's coming down crooked, going up crooked, and I know that because both sides are done the same way. So this piston was rattling, seizing, scraping, and the most proof of that is, now this is after wiping out the cylinder. Let's see if I can get some light in here. I wiped out the cylinder and it still is this bad. Just massive discolorization at the bottom, which is from hot oil. I mean, really stinging hot oil. That like literally burns, like you kind of see all those lines. That cylinder got stinking hot, man. There's a couple seize marks, and there's a skirt seize mark right here where the rings came down and it was trying to seize so hard, but Tyler was probably hard on the revs and didn't give it a chance. And believe it or not, that circle right there, that's from the wrist pin. That's from heat and oil changing color of the cylinder of the wrist pin. That does not happen under normal circumstances. That's from some seriously heavy riding. And, you know, hot oil and very hot cylinder. I bet the cylinder is toast. But look at that. So we need a cylinder piston for sure. I bet you that crank got too hot too. That's me, either that the cylinder definitely got hot too, which means our deck surface is probably compromised, meaning that the top of the deck here is no longer flat. It's probably crooked. Let's see if we have any rinsing marks here from coolant, because I know coolant was getting used in here. Maybe a little right there. The only spot I'm seeing is like right there where you can kind of see there's some horizontal lines going through the cylinder. It's usually a little bit more profound looking than that when it's going on, but it could have been from the base gasket too, using water from the base gasket, and which we could also check that in the same by grabbing this and looking to see if we had, because the base gasket goes against this part. Ooh. And this cylinder stinks, guys. Like, there's no smell-o-vision on this channel yet, but this cylinder stinks. Possibly a water leak right there. I don't know. There's a water jacket. This is usually a culprit. Nothing really stands out there. God, that's either from the cylinder expanding. Gosh, look at that, guys. That is gnarly. Alright guys, so with that being discovered, we're going to run this cylinder home. I'm going to mic it out, and I'm going to show you guys how to compare the, you know, the manual. These stupid deer gnats everywhere. Compare the manual to the run out on the cylinder, and how we do that with the dial indicator, and find out if this is in spec still, and then we can decide if we're going to hone it and go to like a B or a C size piston, or if it's going to get trash canned. Obviously I'm going to save the piston because I need to measure the piston and see what happened there. And then the cylinder head, we're going to take the mid-state cylinder head, have him check the deck on it, and have him clean it up and check the valves for us. So let's head back to the shop, garage, whatever, and check this thing out, because I have a feeling it's pretty jacked up. Alright guys, we got the cylinder home. I just was looking up the specs. I'll include a little picture up here of the specifications we need to get this, or check this inner diameter. It needs to be 96 flat to 96.015 is what our target is. These are bore depth gauges or bore gauges, and I have, so size F is 90 to 150, so we're gonna grab that because we're looking for 96. That's essentially what it looks like. And we squeeze that inside the bore like that. And so we're gonna measure it a couple different ways. We're gonna go down to the middle. We're gonna find, you twist the end here to lock it to make sure that you got the exact measurement. That feels exact. Tell you right now, this thing has some hot spots in it because I could feel where it sticks up in some areas and others it doesn't. All right, so we're gonna mic out this and see what we got. Let's go up to 96 on the gauge. Go to 96.5. We're going to tighten it down. We got 96.29. So already on our first measurement, she is out. And there's a 3.1, 96.31. We'll go this way now. Get nice and flat. And you never want to measure at the very bottom because how cylinders wear is always kind of in a V shape anyway. So, I mean, you can definitely measure the bottom to know for sure, but it's always going to be more worn at the bottom than at the top. The top will actually have the tightest clearances, but actually the bottom feels pretty true right here. Right there, I got good measurement right there. Let's see what that is. Come on. Yeah, that's tighter for sure. That's 96. We'll go kind of diagonal. Check that. You just want to measure the whole bore as a square, essentially. If you could draw the bore into a square, just go two different directions. I think I got to re-zero this thing. It was off by 9. 0. .96 on the dot. See if that'll pick that up. 95.90 is basically 96. So far, I'm going to take that other measurement again. Maybe my tool wasn't correctly set. Actually, look at it. It like sits in there perfectly. Right there too, it sits in perfectly. I don't know, the bore might be alright. Right there, there's definitely, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's got some side to side right there. So, I retract my previous statement. I think this thing's got, I could feel it's got a couple high spots and low spots. So basically the cylinder's not flat anymore. It does a bunch of ripples everywhere inside. So garbagey. So now we'll take apart the cylinder so we can get this over to Chris at mid-state cylinder head and have him check it out and make sure that Tyler didn't absolutely destroy this thing like I feel like he did. But it doesn't look too bad considering what I've seen before. Definitely seen a lot worse. Let me grab a screwdriver real quick. Okay, so we just need a couple different screwdrivers here. And we'll push the pins through. I'll show you the small one here. Kind of just slide this one out like that. And I saved these containers. These are from their kinesthesiology tape. And I have a sponsor for those. So I'm going to label these right intake, left intake, and so on and so forth. That magnet sucks. That magnet's good. I'm not done yet, but I'm still going to label this RI, right intake. And I have obviously 4 of these boxes, or whatever you want to call them, containers. Keep them separate. This one, obviously, this one was RI, so this one's going to be, come on kids, LI, left intake. When you get this other pin out, same thing again, see it just sliding out. Pull that pin out all the way. Pull the pin. One of my favorite jokes as a kid was, what do you do if Napoleon throws a grenade at you? You pull the pin and throw it back. So you can tell by the bend on these, they only go to one specific valve. So this is the LE, left exhaust. So put that in there. Put the shim in there. More than likely the shim's not going to be the same after we put it back together, but it's good to kind of keep them in their own so you know which valves moved where. So there's our left exhaust and right exhaust. And I'll show you guys how to easily get these springs out. You don't need any special tools. Putting them in is a little bit more of an adventure, but getting them out is definitely not that difficult. So RE, right exhaust. Alright, we got those things separated. Get yourself a socket, 15 millimeter, always works for me. Seems like on a lot of these, so you want it so it covers basically just the top cap of the valve. And this is by far the easiest way to do this because you don't need the tool to remove them. It's a lot easier to have the tool to put them in. You want to put a rag under so it'll keep the valves from opening because we're going to push down on them. This is from a pin magnet. I just set it on top of the keeper right here in the middle like that. So we're going to do the left intake first. You put this over that. You gotta push down like that. You'll hear the big pop. And then so what happens is that magnet sucks out, and it's stuck down in the socket here. The magnet sucks out the 2 keepers. Focus. So then same thing again, we'll find our box that's left intake. Put the keepers in there like that. Put the spring and the cap in there. Obviously I don't think the valve's gonna fit in there. Nope, valve's not gonna fit in there, but that's okay because I don't, oh my god, look at, can you guys see the discolorization on that thing? Come on, is it gonna let you? It's like a purple. That thing got hot, baby. That got hot. So I am gonna write on here though on the bottom so we know this one's left intake. That thing got hot, boy. Same thing on the others. You do have to use some pressure. Sometimes like that, they're stuck. So you need a little persuader. I just use my hand. Sometimes a hammer, you know, just give it a light tap and it'll break it loose. Alright, so that's all of our left intake. So now we need right intake. We're not going to be reusing these cotters. That's a cardinal sin. Never reuse these. I'm just taking them off so they know where they came off. But all that goes together. Never reuse your keepers, guys. Never. Take that valve out, same thing, big time discolorization. The blues and the pinks and the orange, just valve got super hot. So we're going to check these. The edges actually don't look too bad at all, but I'm going to get them checked anyway. All right, right intake. We got 2 down, 2 to go. See how quick this is? Come on, B. That one needs a persuader. So we're going to be just using the rubber persuader, just in case you miss. Less damage with the rubber persuader. That should bust the keepers loose. Nope. More persuasion. This is just proof of how hot these valves did get, in my opinion. Oh my gosh. Somebody call a doctor. This thing is, look at pinch the rag in between it, so it did come out a little bit. Try that one. I won't really give her this time. Hopefully I don't hit my hand. Holy moly. This one might be bent. Now it's got my whole rag stuck in it. Wouldn't that be something if that valve's bent? It would explain the ticking noise. This thing had a gnarly ticking noise before it gave up the ghost. There it goes. And it came off in one fell swoop there. So that's all stuff we'll check to see if it is in fact bent. That's an easy thing to check. But usually you would see corresponding marks on the piston. You'd see where the valves made contact and actually hit the piston. You'd see, so piston goes like that. You would see where this valve hit. You would see an indentation in the top of the piston. I don't see that. But again, this one, super hot. Super hot. Left exhaust. LE. Hopefully this one comes out a little easier. Oh wait, I need my left exhaust parts bin. As a great Offspring band said, you got to keep them separated. And then there's a right exhaust. Whoa! Man down. Man down. I don't think the rag's stopping it. Look, it's all inhaled in there. We're not reusing the valves. I can tell you that right now. These things are so bad. About to lose the camera again. I need to anchor that thing down. Usually you can just push down on these like I did on the intakes, because this thing's just so hot. I don't like it. If I can't get it, I do have the tool to, holy mackerel, I do have the tool to compress these out. Yeah, I think we're gonna need the tool. Shoot. Alright, let's go get the tool. Alright, this one you guys could get from RockyMountainMC.com. This is just a valve spring compressor tool. Get the corresponding press. I need a magnet. Like that. And the tool itself. This process isn't pretty, because it's kind of awkward to hold the cylinder head and the compressor, but done it before. Make sure we're on the bottom of the valve. You crank this puppy down. Oh yeah, that thing's stuck. Those keepers are in there. It'll eventually pop like that. Out comes the keepers on the magnet. Put those in the right exhaust box. And then you just unscrew the compressor. That, and put that in there, valve out. Now none of the valves are acting bent at this point. Usually you can kind of roll them too to see. Yeah, this one doesn't seem bent at all, but boy, those keepers were darn near melted on there. Yeah. Right exhaust. And lastly, before we take it down the cylinder head shop, you just want to make sure and take a look at all these seats, make sure there's no chunks missing out of them, no dents, and that you could see 3 distinct angles on the seat itself. So where am I? I'm right here. So you want to make sure that you could see the 3, there's like 3 graduation steps in the seat, and as long as they're not rounded off, then they're usually okay to cut. If they're rounded off too much, then you might need to take too much material, which you would need to cut out these seats and get new ones put in. But I think that doesn't look too bad. So we'll go take that down to Chris at Mid-State Cylinder Head and let him clean that thing up, because that thing will look brand new by the time it's done with him. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys the cheap and easy way just to check your deck surface. Get yourself a dry erase marker and start coloring. You can have your kids do this, your wife, if she's not doing the dishes. You can have fun for hours doing this. Yeah, color the whole thing just on the deck. You don't have to go in the combustion chamber. And the point of this is to check for low spots, high spots. I did clean the deck surface with green Scotch-Brite. Got off as much of the gasket material as I could. Some of it is a little deeper in the head, probably from how hot it got. And you don't have to make it color perfect black all the way around, but just so you know that if you got a high spot or a low spot. You guys enjoying your coloring lesson? Don't use Sharpie for this, please. Use dry erase. Or if you have Dicam's the best. They use that in machining to mark things, but I find dry erase marker works just as well. So now that we got black deck surface, take a straight edge, and we're going to come across it in one scratch here. And I'm not saying like you got to dig hard into it, but hold it as far as you can and pull across it like that. So it shows me I got a low deck surface right here. And that does not surprise me because how hot this thing got. And you notice how I went from nice clean scrape all the way across. This is definitely a low side where the cylinder head dips in. So if I was just to put a new head gasket on this right now, it would leak water. Probably this is where the timing chain goes in the cam chain. Probably seep water either down into the cam chain area, which could have been our problem of why it was losing water and overheating, or adversely you can get oil coming in here, but usually because of combustion you'd be pushing combustion gases, and this is a water jacket right here. Water jacket could leak into the combustion chamber and then also leak into the combustion chamber and also down to the cam chain area. And here's another water jacket here. That was a low spot. Obviously it wouldn't leak externally, but it would leak down to the combustion chamber. So that's checking your deck surface 101. I'm using, there's a cork on this side to kind of wipe everything off. So to the machine shop, this one goes. To the cylinder side, see if it has any corresponding voids, low spots, high spots. We do this so we know if we put on a fresh flat cylinder head and the cylinder has warpage, especially considering how hot it got, then I know we need a new cylinder. But I'm checking just for kind of like my knowledge to see if, you know, if there is some direct correlation when it warps on the cylinder head, if it also warps in the same spot on the cylinder itself. So if you guys remember, the cylinder head was warped right here where I'm coloring right now on the cam chain side. And here in between these two water jackets, but on the cylinder head, this is cylinder. So again, we're just gonna check, see what we got. So this time that could have been from me. I might have lifted. Let's do that again. No, you guys see that? Warped. Really warped right there. But we still got all that. Man. So this thing had quite a few sealing issues. So the cylinders dipped this way and the heads dipped this way. So like I said, we're losing water in this thing from day one. And you know, they don't come warped. So this happened when the engine got hot. Still don't know why I was losing water. I guess it could have, you know, I don't see any rinsing marks on the cylinder here. This gasket material is still kind of stuck in the pores. I do have some pretty good pitting right here where the head was leaking. I doubt the camera's going to be able to pick that up, but it's kind of got some pitting right where that water jacket leads into the combustions, right where the, yeah, it's got some pitting. That could definitely be where it was having head gasket leak. Let me look at the other ones. The other ones look fine, but this one's got pitting right here and right here for sure. So Might have found our culprit. Boys and girls, I'm going to cut the video right there just because this stuff needs to hit the machine shop, and we definitely got some parts to order, unfortunately, for Ty. We got to get a new piston, cylinder, and I think the cylinder head could be saved, along with 4 very hot valves. Look at how rainbowed those things are. That's hot. So we got a lot. Unfortunately, that when this thing, don't run your bike out of coolant, guys. If your bike has a coolant leak, moral of the story, get the leak fixed. Don't keep running it, especially if you're racing or something like that. You'll just tear your engine apart. But so anyways, this is gonna be part 1 of the 2017/2018 because they're the same, just don't have an electric start. Crf450r engine rebuild. Getting ready for Supercross, so we definitely got to take our time and be thorough with this engine because it's a lot different from an amateur just riding around his public track having fun to a professional rider who's throwing himself off of 75-foot triples, and to have an engine failure, it could be life-threatening. So we don't cut any corners here at London MX. I hope you guys don't cut any corners where you're at. And so thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for watching. Comment down below if you got any questions, comments, or just generally want to talk to me. Say what up. Anyways, guys, from the shop, garage, whatever, this is Clint Lund, London MX. I got a lot of Kawasaki's behind me, and I will talk to you soon. Peace out, guys.